Hi, and welcome back for part 2 of our Iron Man foam helmet tutorial. In this installment, we're going to cover how to prepare the surface for taking paint. Because the helmet is made out of foam, we're going to have to seal the surface. And in order to do that, we're going to use a mixture of PVA glue. It's basically just a white glue. I use this brand here. It's an Aleene's Original Tacky Glue. You can pick this up at any fabric store, even Walmart carries it. You're going to need a brush and a cup. First thing that we do is we're going to create a mixture of water and PVA glue, and I'm going to show you how to thin that down first. And here I've already poured a quantity of the PVA glue into some water, and I'm going to go ahead and mix that. Now for our first coat, and you're going to be doing several coats of this, I like to thin it down quite a bit, because what I want to have happen is gradually build up layers of the PVA, and I want it to actually be seeping into the foam. If you have your PVA glue too thick, it's just going to lay on the surface and then it can peel off. By doing several coats of it thinned down so that it begins to seep into the foam, it's going to bond and grab. It requires a little more patience to do it this way, but in the long run you're going to get better results and it's going to last longer. Take a look now. You can kind of see that I've got it mixed to where it's very, very runny. That's how we want it. And we're going to go ahead and start just going and brushing it on. You don't have to worry too much about brush strokes showing up at this point, because like I said, we've thinned it enough that it's going to start soaking into the foam. We're not completely saturating it, so I hope I'm getting that point across, that we do want it to be able to seep into all of the pores of the foam. We're not drenching it. So I'm going to go ahead and coat the entire helmet, and we'll be doing several passes, and we keep doing this until the surface is no longer flat. You're going to start seeing a buildup of a glossy sheen of the glue, and then for the final coat we can do a little bit thicker coat, and you'll be able to see the difference that it makes. Once this process is done and we know that we've sealed the surface of the foam, we can move on to doing the painting. We're going to take care of this first. So here we've gotten about 4 coats of the thinned down white glue, and if we take a real close look, you can see our surface is not yet quite sealed enough. There's still some modeling. We want to build this up to the point where all of the pores are sealed and we're starting to get almost a gloss sheen onto this. So this requires a little bit of patience. It's repetitive and time consuming, but it's going to yield better results than if you just try to slop on some thick coats to seal it really quickly. Because again, our idea is that we're doing thinned down coats because we want that to saturate into the foam. We want to literally be changing the surface of the foam to a pore-free surface. So we're going to go ahead and keep at this. I'm going to give it as many coats as it needs, and we will come back to when we're ready to go on to the next step. Okay, so here we are now after about 12 coats of the thinned down white glue. You can see that we've got a gloss shine on the entire surface of the helmet. Now we've sealed the pores, and we're ready to move on to the next step. We are going to spray this with a coating of plasti. That is going to give us our next layer before we can begin laying color on this. So I've gone ahead and shot this with a can of black plasti spray right here. What this does is it gives it a nice rubberized coating. Kind of evens things out. Put it under the light so you can see there. Now we are completely based and prepped to start putting color on the helmet. So we've gone from the black Plastidip coat, which was our final sealing stage, to starting to lay our color. Now, we want to make this foam look like it's actual metal. So what better way to do that than to do our base coat in silver. Now, all my colors that I lay down, from here on out, I use New Life boot spray. That is a spray that is designed to go on flexible. You can get it at pretty much any shoe repair store, or you can purchase it online. Again, New Life, N-U-L-I-F-E. That's the paint that I'm going to be using for finishing this off. Now, I want to do this so that it's heavily battle damaged. So I based it in silver. I know a lot of people will do it, they'll lay their colors down and then they go ahead and dry brush the silver for all of the scratches and battle damage as the final step. But to me, that always kind of looks like it's just been added on the surface unless it's done really, really well. So I like to build it up in layers in a more realistic manner. So we've gone ahead and just base coated it in a fine misting of silver. And when I spray, I do very light coats, lots of light coats, because we don't want to build up a heavy, heavy surface of the paint, even when you're using a flexible paint. Because you just don't want anything that's going to potentially crack and wrinkle if anything gets bent and squeezed while you're working with it. So, light coats. Now for the weathering, what I like to do is mask off the high points where some natural wear and scuffing would occur, and I use a little bit of liquid latex, and I use the back end of a brush, and I just take a look at areas where it would have a little bit of natural scraping. Kind of randomly hit those spots with a little bit of liquid latex. Now, for a masking medium, you can use latex like I'm doing, or you can get creative. In the past, I've actually used mustard, of all things. Just something that's going to mask it, that's able to be washed and wiped off later on. And I'm just kind of creating some interesting scratch designs. I'm going to try to base it around some of the looks that I've seen that have turned out pretty cool. Factory New is a very nice look for Iron Man, but you give him really heavy battle damage, that adds a little bit of interest, and it can make your project unique. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and move on to the next step. Now you can see we've got our red areas that are going to have chipping, that are going to show all the way through to the bare metal, have already been masked off using latex. Can't really tell too much in this photograph, but it's there. The light catches it. Now we're going to go ahead and let this set overnight. I've tried to rush them in the past and go ahead and mask off so I can excitedly get onto the gold, and you'll have your paint start to peel up. So you really want to let your colors set overnight before you start masking off, so you don't peel up any of your edges as you go. So we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to start masking off. Now this is the stage where the fun really begins. I'm going to start masking this off. What I like to do is I'll take the piece and put it into a plastic bag, and that's going to cover most of the surface area of the helmet. And then I begin using blue framer's tape to very carefully mask off so we can begin our gold faceplate. So I'm going to go ahead and go along here, taping the bag up to the edge of where I want to mask off. And then once that's completed, I'll go ahead and let you take a look at how it looks totally masked, and then we'll go ahead and shoot the gold. I'll just give you a real quick look at how it looks taped and masked off. Now I'm going to go out and spray down the gold. Okay, now we've gone ahead and added the gold, and I've removed our masking. Now the next thing I want to do before I start removing the areas that I've masked off with the latex to get our silver scratched battle damage is I'm going to add a little bit of the scorching detail. I'm just taking a regular brush and I'm going to do kind of like almost a dry brush technique. I'm going to find all the areas that I've added my latex for the scratching, and I'm going to just very gently rub a little bit of brown, or actually I'm using a burnt sienna, because I want to do 2 layers of distress to the scratched areas. I'm going to have a little bit of brown scorching that I'm just going to kind of feather out along the areas that are damaged, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of black over that. There's actually quite a bit of color that should be in some of the battle damage. Gives it a little more interest, makes it look like kind of soot and grime instead of just going with straight black. Kind of rounds out the look a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll show you how that turns out in the next step. Okay, now the brown has been added in. It's very, very subtle at this point. And we do want it to be subtle because that is the base layer of the charring and the scar work that we're going to be doing. Next we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of dry brushing of black. And what's going to happen, the latex that we've built up here for our scratches will give us a ridge to where our paint is going to catch. Now I could have gone ahead and just done some airbrush streaking, and yeah, that would look really good. But it's a little late here and I don't want to fire up my air compressor and disturb my neighbors, so I'm going to go ahead and do it all with a dry brush technique. And that's also a good way to do it if you don't have access to an airbrush. So we're going to move on to that next step, and this is going to become more dramatic as it goes. And again, we're doing this all in just patient layers, and it's going to pay off. Okay, so here we are. I've now added a little bit of black, and we come to the fun part, where we get to start removing the latex and revealing the scratch damage underneath. The silver is going to start showing through. This takes a little bit of patience, but the effort is worth it. Rather than have you sit here and watch me pick away at all this, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and removed all of my masking so that you can see silver scarring showing through. We've done that throughout the helmet. Create some damage. I've used some black paint and gone ahead and run it into the lines, deepen those, also in all of the shadow areas to help bring that detail out, give it a little bit more depth. That is the basics of getting the weathering down. The only thing that I'll do from here is probably give it a very light misting of a clear acrylic coat, so that way all of my weathering doesn't wear off from handling it. After that, we'll install a little bit of lights, but we'll do that in another installment.